Hello folks, Everchanger here, and I'm back on the DeltaCraft server. Now I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, why are you back at the slime farm? Why haven't you finished the slime farm yet? But actually, the slime farm is done. Except for one little problem. 1.8 is coming out, and it introduced several changes to slime mechanics. Nothing that breaks this farm entirely, but some things that really need to be addressed. The most major issue is the fact that large slimes will now deal damage to iron golems, which is the system in place in the farm that I'm going to use to kill the slimes. Now, I tried using some lava blade tricks to try and deal with that, but in this scenario in 1.7 and in 1.8 this doesn't really work all too well. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to nip the problem in the bud and make sure that the very largest size of slime cannot spawn in the farm at all. So what I have to do is I have to take down a lot of these platforms, which is unfortunate since we spent so much time, and I have to rebuild them and resize them to accommodate for this switch. So right now the farm's platforms are at Y39, 35, 31, 27, 23, 19, and 15. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take down this one, this one, this one, and this one, because that one, and that one will be there in the new system. I'm going to propose a new system where they are separated by 2 blocks instead of 3. They will appear at Y levels 39, 36, 33, 30, 27, 24, 21, 18, and 15. This will up the amount of spawning spaces from 8,960 to 12,672 because since we are no longer going to be having the largest size of slime spawn in the farm, the gaps in between the platforms do not need to be as big. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be making this change, and unfortunately this can impact rates a little bit, but I think the addition of over 3,000 more spawning spaces might help to offset it, and I think this is the only sort of system where efficiency and losslessness will be able to work together in 1.8. And also, with the condensed size of the gap in between the platforms, Enderman will no longer be able to teleport in and take the mycelium out. So that fixes that issue, because I would have had to tear out the mycelium and replace it with a new kind of block anyway to fix that glitch. So without further ado, I'm going to cut away here and I will meet you guys back when I've got those 4 platforms completely removed. Alright, I am back. That took about an hour and 20 minutes, but I've taken out the 4 platforms that I said I was going to take out. I completely destroyed pretty much a couple of shovels doing this. I was motoring right along through it just fine until this one pretty much ran out. And then I went and enchanted this one, and I almost completely destroyed that one too. So we've got this much material, and this much material, and a lot of it fell down into the bottom of the farm, but the sorting system should have picked it up, so I'll be able to go get it later. So now what I am going to do is I am going to resize our remaining platforms to the size they are going to be in the final product. So I'm just going to cut away, and I'll meet you guys back here once I've done that. Alright, I am back. That took about 50 minutes. I have resized all 9 platforms. The gap in between the platforms is now 2 blocks instead of 4. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stack all the way up through each of these gaps and put in the lighting pumpkins that we need for all the platforms, because they need a little spot to rest on so you can place them. So I'm going to need to remove the water, and the way I do that is I come down here into my little maintenance room, and I come over here and I have to make sure to trip the secondary lock for the water toggle. I have the secondary lock in place because the water toggle does create a decently large amount of lag, and I want to make sure whoever toggles the water is fully aware of what they're doing. But since I'm the only one on the server at the moment, it shouldn't be any problem. Now I'm gonna flip the switch, and there it goes. Got a bit of a frame hit down to 30s in there. And now I'm just going to go stack up the pumpkins, and I will meet you guys back once I have done that. Alrighty, I am finally back. This whole change took about 4 hours to do. I've got all the pumpkins in place for the new platforms, and I've also got a layer of pumpkins up top here at Y level 42 to create a barrier platform to prevent size 3 or size 4 or whatever the wiki calls it, to prevent the biggest slimes from spawning on this top platform here. So we got all the pumpkins in, and it's quite the mesmerizing appearance there, isn't it? So now what I'm going to do is I am going to tear out this old killing system and replace it with a new one, because the redstone underneath these hoppers here actually interferes with our gates right here. Now, that wouldn't have made any difference as to the effectiveness of the system because I tested this in a creative flat world in the 1.8 pre-release with the gates open and it still wasn't working. So I'm going to go put in the new system and I will talk to you guys again once I've got that completed. Alright, that's done. It didn't take too terribly long, only about 20 minutes. With the new system, the golems will stand on these 4 half slabs, no redstone components to be messed around with, and the leads will keep them in place, which is awesome. And also, items that get caught in the water will get caught in these little edge hoppers right here. The reason we have to have the half slabs there is because in water, iron golems actually become completely passive and they will not attack anything. So I've made the change to all 3 of these, and now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and finish taking down Devon's slime farm wording up there, since he's quite busy at the moment and I don't think he'll be available to do it for a while. So I'll meet you guys right back here once I've taken down that green wool. Alright, the words have been taken down. I got this much green wool out of it. Some of it's lying at the bottom of the ocean, but I'm really not inclined to go and get it. Funny story, in 1.7.10 it would appear that shears don't take durability damage from taking down wool. So I think that was fixed in 1.8, so I guess it's a good thing I decided to go and do that now. Don't worry for anyone who's a fan of big floating pixely things in the sky. I do have a plan for this area, which I will be executing at some point, hopefully soon. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a fence around most of this thing and light it up because we don't want any mobs spawning, falling down into the system and starting to clog the thing up, especially with the change where creepers will explode on iron golems now. We don't want any of that to happen. So I'm going to make that change, and once again I will be right back. Okay, the entire rim of the slime farm is now fenced up and torched. We have fences at every corner. And now, what I have to do next is probably the biggest phase of this project. I have to build these 6 levels of spawning pads down here to bring this thing back up to full capacity. So, it'll probably take me several hours to do that, so I will see you on the other side. Okay, I am finally back. That last clip was recorded on August 25th, and it is currently September 24th. Because shortly after the last clip was recorded, school started. And this was the biggest phase of the project so far, so it took quite a while to complete working around my schedule. But it is finally done. I have completed all of the platforms for spawning. And, of course, since it is now September 24th, 1.8 is actually out. Which means that, of course, as you can see, my new 1.8 skin is here for all to see. It's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, that meant that all of the slime AI changes were forced upon us here on the server because as we are on Realms, it was updated immediately upon the release of the patch. Prior to the actual patch, I brought some fences down here and tried to protect our iron golems, but somehow the big slime still managed to do a couple of them in, which is incredibly unfortunate. We still have 1 left, and it also unfortunately looks like leads are almost completely broken in 1.8 because they just keep on failing on me for some reason. I really don't know why. It's really, really unfortunate. But yes, we lost 2 iron golems, and I have a feeling we might potentially lose the 3rd even, which is a little bit unfortunate. But I think what I'm going to do next is I am going to build our little top layer. Whoa, screen glitch. I'm going to build our top layer here to round this out, and then I think we'll be able to wrap up this project. Finally. So, without further ado, I'm going to go build that final pad, and I will meet you guys right back here. Next farm is definitely going to be an iron farm. In between clips, the last one finally died. I took out the fences here since they weren't doing anything, but I left these fences here in case they managed to finally fix leads at some point. But the main feature that we're talking about is that our final platform up here is finally done. It prevents the large slimes from spawning on the very top layer, and it also prevents Endermen from stealing our mycelium. I decided to go for a little bit of a more industrial look, so I used stone slabs. I think it looks pretty much like tile, which I think is pretty awesome. So next up, I think I'm going to do some final preparations. We're going to need to go turn that water on, replace the iron golems, and I think we're going to be done. So I'll go do that, and I'll meet you guys right back here. It is finally done. This is a fully AFK-able slime farm, which is pretty cool. I got our iron golems in, and I turned the water back on. I had to change this system over here once again because the 4 little platforms, the slabs on the hoppers there, really weren't keeping the iron golem in place. The slimes would keep on pushing him into the water and further away. So I replaced that with signs around the edge, and I also put some stone slabs right here, and that will keep the iron golem from getting out, and it will also keep big slimes from getting in when the water is off. Because when the water is off, the big slimes can spawn on the floor here. But yes, let's just do a pan over of the entire thing. I'm really proud of how this turned out, and I'm really glad I am because it took us 5 months to build this thing. So, thank God it's finally done. Guess all I have to do now is I have to move these 9 double chests of slime balls that we accumulated while constructing this thing down into our storage room over there, but I think I'm going to do that off screen, and I think I'm going to call the episode here. So 1.8 is out, the slime farm is completely done, and I think we can all agree that an iron farm might be well deserved at this point, given that over 100 iron was wasted on those first iron golems. But yeah, I'm going to leave the episode here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys next time.